explains the title of the book. So that's one reading and that reading on the 4 schools of philosophy, it's just a few pages, is written by a previous life of this guy, who is my teacher's 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 teacher, Pabunker Rinpoche. But it's sort of an introduction there. And then we finally get into Abhidharma. He gives the title of the book. And it's like, you'll see in the reading, there's like one line here. Knowledge is unstained wisdom and its accessories. And then that's from Abhidharma Kosha, that's from Master Vasubandhu. Then the first Dalai Lama goes into 1, 2, 3, almost 4 pages about what that one line means. So that's how he's kind of unpacking it. Why study all this stuff, okay? I don't know. Stevie Wonder said it best in Superstition. When you believe in things you don't understand, then you suffer. That's superstition. It's good to know where this stuff comes from, and then you can teach it too. Okay? The 18 courses, by the way, it's a teacher training course. So if you really like some of this stuff, as long as it's backed up by the teachings, go teach in a library or something. Tell people about how karma works. Just give that talk about how to get all the money you want, the relationship you want, and how to have health, you know. And then you say, oh, well, I can back it up in this, 1,000-year-old book. But it's good to have all this detail, because people ask questions. So, anyway, speaking of questions, feel free to interrupt, okay? Right now there's just, 7 of us here or something like that. When I'm a big rock star Lama and there's like 30 or 50 people in the class, you won't be able to ask questions. And I was reading the transcript of when Geshe Michael first taught this in New York, and those New Yorkers, they're interrupting him. He's trying to give the teaching, and they go, no, Michael, didn't you say in the last class, and then he answers the questions. So anyway, His Holiness the First Dalai Lama, no, wait, Michael, you said, and it's like, and then people in Asia hear those tapes, and they're like, oh my God, how can anyone treat a teacher like that? It's like, no, you go and listen, and it's like, the teacher's like God, you just shut up and listen. But in an apartment in New York, it wasn't like that at all. It's really cool. Up until about ACI Course 6, then suddenly it's like everything gets quiet. They kind of realize, whoa, this guy's got something going on. So anyway, with all that was questions. All right, let's move right along. Philip has a class starting at 1 o'clock, so we'll have to get everything broken down, packed up by, quarter till or something. Sweep the floor a little bit. So, that is the book. Okay. What is this one? Oh. Yeah, okay. I talked about this a little bit. Abhidharma Nupachu, up to the thing. So what does Abhidharma Kosha mean? It means up to the thing. What does that mean? Okay. I said, the thing, a dharma or chu, is like the teaching or the truth, okay? The highest thing is nirvana, reaching in this school, okay? In higher schools, it's total enlightenment, but nirvana is just getting to a state where you just don't have mental afflictions anymore. Try and imagine that, just going through life, not being constantly beat up by, I like this, I don't like this, I like this, I don't like that, just, nirvana. So in this school, nirvana is the highest thing. So, and then abhi or nupa means up to. So what is what the question comes up, if you did your homework, what does Abhidharma actually mean, or literally mean? It means knowledge that takes you up to nirvana. So the dharma we're talking about is nirvana, that's the highest thing. So the meaning of Abhidharma is knowledge that brings you up to nirvana, if anyone were to ask you that in your homework. Okay. And then kosha we already talked about, means treasure house. Because he took those 7 books of Lord Buddha's disciples and jammed them all into this 8 chapters of verses. By the way, those 7 books, not all of them are around anymore. It's like somewhere in here they named the title and the author, but they can't be found anywhere. So So we just have it preserved with Abhidharma Kosha. All right, moving right along. Okay, sorry about the mess here. I did this really late at night. Last night was a special night on the Buddhist calendar, so I had to do this long ritual thing, and then it's like 10 o'clock, okay, time to do the posters. So there's 8 chapters to Abhidharma Kosha, and I liked to put the Tibetan up, but I started to realize that it got really repetitious. It goes ne, and then the number, and then tenpa is the teaching on. So after the first one, I realized, you know what, I can leave out ne and tenpa, but we'll do the full one, okay. Ne dangpo, say ne dangpo. That means chapter 1. Kam tenpa, say kam tenpa. Okay, 10 is the teaching, so it's the presentation of categories of existence. What does that mean? Okay, it's like an introduction to the whole entire rest of the book. Everything in the book, which I'll show a little bit later, is what Master Vasubandhu is calling stained and unstained wisdom. Stained wisdom is, or stained knowledge, I should say, and unstained knowledge is wisdom. You could say all of Lord Buddha's teachings boil down to suffering and how to get out of suffering, okay? Suffering, what not suffering is like. So everything about suffering, the suffering world, is stained, they say. And then unstained knowledge, things like how to meditate, how to understand the world, okay, that would be unstained wisdom. So categories of existence is kind of an outline to everything that's kind of broken out further in the next 8 chapters. Chapter 2 would be Ne Nyingpa, say Ne Nyingpa. Wangpo Tenpa. Okay, called the powers. Basically, it's an overview of mind. It's Lord Buddha's all teachings. It's Buddhist psychology, basically. Everything from how we sense things and then how we conceptualize the things we sense. There's like 51 mental functions in there. Okay, so it's like, so, you know, for a normal person, this is how we sense the world. This is how we understand it, all of that, okay? So that whole book is like, you know, how we think and how we sense the world, about perception, basically. And then Ne Sumpa, say Ne Sumpa. Chapter 3 is Jikten Tenpa, say Jikten Tenpa. Okay, Jikten means the world or worlds, and then Tenpa is so presentation of the perishable world. It's very interesting. Jikten, the Tibetans came up with I forgot what it was in Sanskrit, but they got the sense of the Sanskrit word and they came up with their own word. Jik means destructible and ten means ground. So they call the world destructible ground or destructible basis, okay, or the perishable world. Because according to Buddhist cosmology, worlds come into being and then disappear. Lifetimes come into being and then disappear, okay? It's all moving just like that. So the Tibetan word for Jikten is perishable world or destructible basis. In this chapter, which is covered in ACI Course 8, has all the desire realm, the form realm, the formless realm, all the different kind of beings in the desire realms, humans and animals, and then the ones that we can't see, gods, demigods, hell beings, craving spirits. According to Lord Buddha, there's like a whole universe is coexisting with us that we can't see, but it's a long story. If you think about it, you can totally understand how they would exist. So see, the flow goes, it's like, okay, this is your mind. This is what your mind sees, okay, all the different worlds and rebirths you can have. So Jikten, destructible basis. And I always joke, you know, tell a Tibetan scholar, it's like, you know, why are you recycling? Oh, to save the world, you know, but in Tibetan it's like, to save the destructible thing. Okay, well, good luck with that, you know. So, not that you shouldn't recycle, do stuff. It's a kindness, all right? It leaves more resources for other people, you know. But, you know, as far as saving the world, I don't know. I got my undergraduate degree in environmental studies, And then sometime after I graduated, for one thing, I got really into dystopian science fiction novels like Dark Futures because, all the professors are like, oh, the world's ending, we've got to stop it, all these bad things happening, and they're right, but you got this kind of feeling of you can't do anything about it. And then soon after that, there was some comet that smacked into Jupiter, and they got it on film. This comet broke apart and goes boosh, 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 right into Jupiter, and so big you could see it from here. And at that point, I got that G10 feeling, of the world, wow, we could save the planet, and then some comet's gonna smack into us, so we don't know, all right? So anyway, presentation of the whole world, and then the question comes up, okay, where did this world come from? Chapter 4 is Ne Shipa, say Ne Shipa, which means chapter 4.
Ne Shipa.
And then Le Tenpa.
Le Tenpa.
Karma in Tibetan is Le. In colloquial Tibetan, it's also a word for work. So, so it's like he explains, what we're like, what the world's like, and then the question comes up, okay, why? All right? So chapter 4 gets into karma. It's like, oh, it all comes from karma, which we'll get to in the second half. All right, rest of the chapters. Okay, Ne Ngapa, chapter number 5, say Ne Ngapa.
Ne Ngapa.
Where's that again? Tragya. Tragya Tempa. Okay, the teachings on mental afflictions. Karma, because of that, we have mental afflictions. That's stuff I was talking about, what you don't have if you reach nirvana. Misunderstanding the world and being beaten up by liking things stupidly and disliking things stupidly. Which doesn't mean you shouldn't like things, and it doesn't mean that you should like getting your teeth drilled. All right? It's okay. There's some idea in Buddhism like, oh, you're supposed to have equanimity, it's like, so you're supposed to get to where getting a root canal and a massage are the same thing. Nonsense, okay? Buddha never said that. Never said that, all right? When you understand where these things come from, then you can do something about it, okay? And have more massages and less root canals. Okay, which sounds like a good thing to me. So out of karma comes mental afflictions, all right? And then Nedrupa, say Nedrupa, chapter 6 is person and path. Gansak, say Gansak, Danglam. Okay, person and path. Here's the cutoff where we're getting from stained knowledge to unstained knowledge. It's like, okay, what are high practitioners like? Okay, so the second half of the book is unstained knowledge. I'll elaborate on that in a minute, And then Nedumpa, say Nedumpa. Chapter 7 is Yeshe Tenpa, say Yeshe Tenpa. Presentation of wisdom. How to understand the world in such a way that you can start eliminating your mental afflictions and your karma. And then the last chapter is, and so you want to learn how to get wisdom? Last chapter is chapter 8, Gepa, say 8, Gepa is Nampar Jukpa, say Nyampar Jukpa. Jukpa we had in the last class, right? Jukpa, 9 stages of meditation, the placement meditation. So this is equal placement, which is a name for balanced meditation. So that is the 8 chapters of Abhidharma Kosha. So what? Who cares? But it has a nice flow, and you get the sense of, wow, this is a treasure house. This is like everything, all suffering and all how to get out of suffering, all in this, these 8 chapters. So it's pretty cool. And here's what I mean. Okay, Abhidharma. If someone were to ask you, okay, what is Abhidharma? We already talked about what it means, literally up to nirvana. What is the subject matter of Abhidharma Kosha? If someone asks you in the homework, it's like knowledge of stained and unstained phenomenon. And so these are the chapters that deal with stained phenomenon, okay? The overview, mind and senses, the worlds, karma, and mental affliction. That's the stuff we want to get rid of, okay? But it's described detail, right? You can't hit a target unless you know where it is. And then the unstained knowledge is person and path is practice, gaining wisdom, and how to meditate to get wisdom. So that's an overview of this book we're studying, of which we're just studying chapter 4, okay? There's another way to break up stained and unstained wisdom. There's something in Buddhism called the 5 paths. Accumulation, practice. The path of seeing is when you see ultimate reality for the first time in deep meditation. And then after that, you're getting used to that, and you're destroying all your mental afflictions. And then you get to what the epithet is no more learning. You get to enlightenment. So this is the unstained part of the path. After the path of seeing, after you see ultimate reality, you're on greased rails to enlightenment. Okay. The first two, accumulation, you're gathering merit, and you're learning, you're getting deeper in meditation and understanding of reality. All of that kicks over into the path of seeing at some point. Long story, but that's just another way of breaking up stained and unstained wisdom. It's kind of a funny phrase. We're almost up to a break. Okay, so what Abhidharma really means is unstained wisdom and its accessories. That's what Abhidharma is. What is it that takes you up to nirvana? Unstained wisdom and its accessories. What does that mean? Long story. Debate comes out. Oh, every point that comes up. The first Dalai Lama, it's like he says, well, let's examine this. Let's pick it apart. You know, it's like, okay, here's an idea, Your Holiness. He says, okay, give me a scalpel. Let's, see what's inside. So he takes this one phrase, this one line. Yeah, they constitute unstained wisdom and its accessories. And he goes on for a couple of pages about what that means. He talks about these 3 paths, habituation, no more learning. So he brings in a bunch of quotes and everything to try and kick this apart. Oh, so what are the accessories? Well, that's in chapter 6. Master Vasubandhu says, those used to achieve it, and the commentaries. What does that mean? Dalai Lama goes, there's a number of accessories to knowledge which are merely nominal. That means a name only. Blah, 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 blah. Let's use the form of a logical statement. Consider the accessories to knowledge just mentioned. They may be given the name knowledge because they constitute the means of one's achieving actual knowledge. So he's just making sure we're clear about what we're talking about. Knowledge, what do you mean by that? Knowledge and its accessories? Well, okay, are the books and videos and tapes and everything, are those knowledge themselves? No. There's something you use to get knowledge. So we can call them knowledge. We can call the books knowledge because they help you get there. I'm just warning you when you read this. It's like you go, what? That's what he's doing. That's a good thing. Okay. Now, he gets into, where does it come in the reading? 16, treasure house of knowledge because they all fit here in its points, since they're its home. What does that mean? He breaks it out. There's a statement in here somewhere, and it's a tradition in a Buddhist book, that you state the 4 attributes: the subject matter, the purpose, the ultimate goal, and the relation between them. Okay. At first, when I first took it, it's like, why are you giving this detail? And it's like, no, this applies very much to your life. Okay, you can think, and I think one of the meditation assignments says, meditate, review the 4 attributes of a Buddhist book. And it's like, what use is that? Oh, it applies to everything you're doing. After 45 minutes on Facebook, I go, wait, what am I looking at? Pictures of people's cats and meals. All right, why am I doing this? Is there an ultimate goal here? It's like, no. Well, maybe, I connect with people, I know what's going on in their lives and stuff, It's like, yeah, what's the ultimate goal? Oh, I don't know, maybe if I know stuff, I can help them, And that helps you how? So if you can start to analyze everything you do with these 4 attributes, you know, it's like, wait, what am I doing right now? I'm watching TV. Okay, why? All right, the 4 attributes are, so, applied to Abhidharma Kosha, it all makes sense. The subject matter is stained and unstained knowledge. We're studying stained and unstained knowledge. Everything that's wrong with the world and how to fix it, okay? What is the gupa of that? What is the purpose? It's like, well, by studying this, you plant seeds of wisdom that analyze the ultimate. Oh, okay, that sounds great. What's the ultimate purpose of that? To reach nirvana. If I can get wisdom, then I can reach nirvana and not suffer anymore, and I can help other people not suffer. What's the relationship between these 3? And I didn't spell it out too much. Okay. The subject matter, how would I say this? What's it say in the answer key? Noise. Okay, the purpose is achieved through the subject matter. All right, what's the purpose? Reach enlightenment. We reach enlightenment by having wisdom seeds planted in us by studying stained and unstained phenomena. All right. So there's a statement in here. It's like, so is this a good Buddhist book? In every good Buddhist book, you're supposed to be able to say what these things are. Okay, what's it cover? What's the purpose? What's the ultimate goal? And what's the relationship between those? You know. So okay, it's a book about cats doing cute things in meals. Facebook. All right. That's the subject matter. What's the purpose? I don't know, to know about my friends' lives a little bit more. What's the ultimate goal? I don't know. Maybe if I know something about their lives, I can help them, you know. Okay, what's the relationship with this? So the subject matter is their cats and food. So I know about their lives, so maybe I can help them. All right, I've done it. I've applied the 4 attributes to Facebook with a little stretch. But the homework is to do that, and then you can apply it to anything. You know, okay, I'm at work. Why? Well, because I want to make money. Okay, why? Because I can pay for food in house. Okay, why? You know, you can use these things to analyze a little bit. What are you doing so you're not wasting time? Okay, I've been talking at you a long time. Questions? Is it kind of flowing from here?
What do you mean by these 2 types of nirvana?
Good, you caught that. Okay, in this school, there's the nirvana of the listeners and of the self-made Buddhas. It's a really long story, okay? And it has to do with which subset of the Buddhist teachings they glom onto, okay? The listeners are all about the 4 Arya truths, which is always called wrongly the 4 Noble Truths, and the Eightfold Path, you know? It's like, Buddha said it, we heard it, you know? So they're trying to get their butt out of stuff. Self-made Buddhas, it's another story. Their main teaching is the Wheel of Life, or the 12 Lengths of Dependent Origination. There's a whole other set of teachings they glom onto. Supposedly they have different kinds of nirvana, but they see the same ultimate reality. They see the same emptiness as also as somebody on the higher path, the Mahayana path sees, because emptiness is emptiness is emptiness. By the way, in this school they call it selflessness. Long story, I don't want to get into it. But, so, yeah, they say there's 2 different schools within the, quote, lower paths. Okay, if it's a lower path, why do they make monks study it for 2 years? Why did my Mahayana monk teacher study it for 10 years? Because there's a lot of really good stuff in it, and very useful. So yeah, the 2 types of nirvana. Thank you for catching that. I should have pointed out. I should read my own posters. I think it was about 12:45 when I was getting to this part here. So anyway, speaking of which, let's take a little stretch, and we'll come back to it, okay? Oh, old high school friends watching my videos and